After studying this module, you would be able to identify the common ways in which the consumer is exploited, understand the needs and the objectives of Consumer Protection Act, learn the rights and remedies available to the consumer, know about the main provisions and the three-tier redressal mechanism provided under the Consumer Protection Act. Marketing begins with the identification of consumer needs. The end is to satisfy these consumer needs. The producers produce goods according to the requirements of the consumers. It is said that the consumer is king in the market, but in reality it is observed that some unscrupulous businessmen exploit the consumer through adulteration, overcharging, poor quality, misleading advertisements, short waiting and other unfair practices. They always try to neglect their obligations and towards the consumers and try to cheat the consumers. Thus, the need for consumer protection arises as the consumers may not be knowledgeable and they may not be well organized to fight this problem. Consumer exploitation. The consumers are exploited in a number of ways by the suppliers or producers, and both the producers as well as the distributors in their own way keep on exploiting the consumers. This is because the consumers are themselves illiterate, often very poor, have limited information, lack knowledge and understanding about the products and the markets. For instance, very often most of us do not know even basic things such as maximum retail price MRP. Generally it is seen that they are not aware of their own legal rights and they are unable to save themselves from the exploitation by such unscrupulous elements. The common ways in which the consumer is exploited are the following. 1. Unfair trade practices. Sometimes to promote the sale of goods and services, many producers or traders resort to unfair trade practices. They give false information or misleading descriptions about the quality, quantity, grade, composition, style and the models of the products which they manufacture. For example, goods produced by the producers are often far below the recommended standards. These days we are seeing a lot about this in newspapers. The unfair trade practices adopted by producers are false and misleading advertisements. Misleading and deceptive advertisements is the most common way of exploiting the consumers. Business firms spend huge amounts of money on advertisement of their products and services to catch the eye of the users, but most often these advertisements are false and unethical. Their products are of poor quality and do not conform to the claimed standards of quality, weight, size and design, etc. Often, gifts having no value are offered to the consumer under certain promotional schemes. The dealers offer coupons or some other incentives which sometimes cannot be cashed in, or the value of these products which are offered as gifts are actually very poor. Sometimes the sellers also announce schemes such as lotteries or other such intention of awarding some prize, but very often the consumers get cheated because that prize actually never comes. Then exorbitant prices. The producers very often inflate the price of their products. Essential commodities which are, which have inelastic demand, which are essential for the consumers, are made so costly that people are unable to afford them. Producers try to earn high and abnormal profits by fixing the price for products far beyond the cost of production and some normal margin of profit to which they are entitled. Adulteration. A lot is being talked about adulteration these days. Adulteration means mixing of some inferior products, sometimes even harmful products, within the products that are sold. Especially this happens very often in food products. Traders exploit consumers by using such harmful products which may be a threat to the health and sometimes even to the life. For example, mixing petrol with kerosene, or rather mixing kerosene into petrol, using cement with inferior strength, mixing harmful seeds within dal and other grams, other lentils, and so on. There are lots of such methods, unscrupulous methods which traders use and which leads to adulteration of various kinds. Then we have the practice of manufacturing and selling substandard products. The quality assurance is not maintained, and therefore the consumers are exploited. It is possible that consumers are ignorant about the required quality standards, and sometimes even some brand names or trade marks like Agmark is misused to mislead the consumers about some agricultural products. So therefore there is no guarantee of the quality of a product which is being sold, and so such substandard products easily pass in the market. Underweight supplies. Many manufacturers sell underweight quantities which is less than that indicated on the package. Very often what happens is that the weights are specified in a different way on the package, and they are according to the standard weighting rules, but the actual content contains less than the promised weight. This happens very often in the case of domestic gas cylinders, because it's not possible for a domestic gas consumer to actually weigh the gas that is being provided by the supplier. Then we have another problem that is called deceptive selling practices. Many consumers are easily duped by the manufacturers as they are illiterate or ill-informed. Producers try to sell their products with the help of advertisements which may be misleading, exaggerated and unprovable claims. For example, producers are ready to give even 50 to 90% discount after hiking the price by almost 100%. They always try to wriggle out of their publicized obligations by saying that they have placed a condition a legend which says conditions apply, which is in such small print that nobody can even notice it while purchasing the product. Not only in the private sector but also the public sector enterprises have been found guilty of this dubious practice. Poor redressal of genuine consumer grievances. Generally, producers or sellers do not pay attention to the genuine grievances of consumers after selling their product. There is no after sales inquiry, and very often when the consumers come up with some complaint, then the entire blame is put on to the consumer by telling them that they have not properly used the product. For instance, in the case of automobiles, there is a condition that the car has to be serviced only at the authorized service station, and the moment you go to any other service station, then the original car company will not entertain any adverse problem that is there with your car. Dozens of communications, letters expressing the grievances of consumers, and also visits to other public fora for seeking some sympathetic hearing. All of these things fall on deaf ears, and these days the producers of services are also penalizing the consumers, and although there are some redressal mechanisms about which we will study later, but even these redressal mechanisms like the consumer courts are not able to actually take care of the genuine grievances. Making a consumer buy goods that they don't need. Many producers take advantage of consumer ignorance and of the electronic media to manipulate the situation in such a way that the consumer becomes very eager to buy new products, and most of these products may not be actually needed by the consumer. One example we can quote here: in an advertisement of stain removers, it is shown that stains immediately disappear once you dip them into a liquid stain remover and clean the clothes. They use either pre-washed or new clothes to show the consumers how the stain has been removed. But in practice, actually when we use these stain removers, the stains don't go. Heavy advertisement cost. What is the implication of heavy advertisement costs? The costs incurred in the electronic media or print media medium is entirely passed on to the consumers, and consumers are made to pay a very heavy price for products which they could otherwise get at a reasonable price. Hoarding and black marketing. Very often producers they take the advantage of the situation, and what they do is to hoard certain goods which are in demand. Particularly, these could be some necessities which have to be consumed, and at such a time what happens is that a black market premium builds up in the market, and sometimes this black market premium is also fueled by some kind of rumors. So therefore, periodically some products, some commodities like say onions are facing this problem, that every now and then onion prices start to grow very high and consumers suffer. Tie-in sales. Sometimes sellers sell goods or services on a condition that the buyer is also required to purchase some good or the other, or to pay for some after sales services for 1 year in advance. Such arrangements harm the consumer's interest, it doesn't allow the consumer to have the flexibility and to go to any other service provider after once they have actually bought a product. Consumer protection. Consumer protection means protecting the interest of consumers against the anti-consumer trade practices which are carried out by the producers or traders. Such practices include adulteration, misleading advertisements, substandard products, underweight supplies and overcharging. The needs and objectives of consumer protection. The need for consumer protection arises because of important position of the consumer and the unfair business practices of the seller. There are certain rights of consumers to protect them from loss or damage caused on account of faulty goods and inadequate services, but consumers hardly make use of their rights due to ignorance and lack of awareness. The following are the main arguments in favor of consumer protection. The first argument is unfair and misleading trade practices. Producers and traders exploit consumers by adopting various unfair trade practices such as the sale of defective and substandard goods, exorbitant prices, false and misleading advertisements, adulteration, hoarding, black marketeering and ignoring safety standards. Thus, it is very necessary to make producers and traders more answerable to consumers. It also is it becomes inevitable for the consumers to unite themselves and fight against these producers. In order to protect the consumers' interest, the government passed the Monopoly and Restrictive Trade Practices Act in 1969. This act has had many provisions which have saved the consumer from such bad practices. Increasing awareness. The consumers are becoming more and more aware of their rights against such unfair trade practices. Many consumer organizations and associations are making efforts in order to enhance consumer awareness. At various levels, there are different campaigns which are allowing consumers to learn more about their own rights. Whenever the rights of consumers are violated, there is a need for consumer protection. Consumer satisfaction. The key to the success of a business is actually lying in the satisfaction of consumers. Every business firm which produces or sells a product should be satisfying the needs of consumers. The consumer is the foundation of the business. Hence, businesses should take all care to serve the interest of consumers by providing them high quality goods at a fair price. Survival and growth of the business. The business has to serve the consumer's interest to exist in the long run. If a business organization fails to provide better services and products to the consumer, or if it indulges in malpractices, then obviously in the long run the business will fail by itself. Social responsibility. There are certain social norms, ethical norms that guide a business. The moral responsibility of a business is to protect the consumer's interest by providing them goods of right quality and quantity and at a reasonable fair price and not to exploit consumers. This is what constitutes the social responsibility of business towards consumers. Multiple objectives. Business is run to pursue both economic as well as social objectives. The economic objective is to earn adequate profit for its survival and growth. The social objective is to serve the interest of various stakeholders of the business such as employees, suppliers, consumers, the society at large and the government. The interest of these groups include consumers and these stakeholders cannot be ignored by the business. Offer value for money. Sometimes consumers feel that they do not get the proper value for the money that they have paid for goods and services. Although they may sometimes, in fact, they may suffer on account of health, on account of the adulterated food materials which they buy. Thus, it is expected that producers and service providers must protect the consumer interest and refrain from such malpractices. So, the idea is just to provide cheaper goods does not mean it should give an opportunity for the producers to resort to such practices as adulteration. Then we have a basic principle which is principle of trusteeship. Manufacturers, producers and service providers are actually the trustees of society. Such resources include capital, material, labor, machinery and so on. These resources must be used effectively by the producers and they should be used in such a manner that all of this is done in the interest of society. The main entity in society is the consumer. So, therefore, we say that producers, manufacturers, businesses are actually trustees of society. Consumer Protection Act 1986. In developing countries like India, most of the consumers are poor, sometimes unemployed, unorganized and illiterate. Therefore, it is very important that consumers be protected from the malpractices of unscrupulous traders and producers. The Government of India has enacted several laws to protect the rights and interests of consumers. These are the Prevention of Food Adulteration Act 1954, the Essential Commodities Act 1955, the Standard of Weights and Measurements Act 1976, the Prevention of Black Marketeering and Maintenance of Supplies of Essential Commodities Act 1980, Agricultural Product Grading and Marketing Act which is known as AgMark, the Standard Bureau of Certification Act 1952, the Monopoly and Restrictive Trade Practices Act 1969, which of course has now been replaced by the Competition Commission and the Competition Act. Unfortunately, consumers remain exploited even after all these acts have been enacted. Thus, the Government of India in 1986 came up with a new act called the Consumer Protection Act to protect the consumers, as has been mentioned, against unfair and unethical trade practices that are practiced by the sellers or the traders or producers. This act is applicable against all kinds of goods and services unless specifically exempted by the central government. All sectors, whether private, public sector or cooperative sector, are covered under this act. The objectives of Consumer Protection Act. The following are the main objectives: to provide better protection to the interest of consumers through cheap and quick settlement of their grievances, to provide protection to consumers against unfair trade practices, to provide the establishment of consumer protection councils and other authorities at the center and the state level to promote consumer rights, to settle disputes and matters connected with the consumers, to provide certain rights to consumers in order to protect them against malpractices. The procedural provisions under the Consumer Protection Act: 1. The complainant, the person who can file a complaint, is defined in section 12 of this Act as a consumer who purchased a good or service. Any voluntary consumer association registered under the law, the state or the central government, on behalf of numerous consumers having the same interest, one or more consumers can file a complaint. In the case of a deceased consumer, the legal heir or the representative could also file a complaint. A complaint can be filed against the manufacturer, the dealer, the seller of defective goods, the provider of deficient services. Also, if any trader or service provider has been adopting restrictive trade practices or unfair trade practices, even then a complaint can be filed. If any trader or service provider has charged a price which is in excess of the that which has been exhibited on the package of the goods, or which is fixed by law from time to time, these are all grounds under which a complaint can be filed. To whom should this complaint be made? All complaints where the value of the goods or services and the compensation claimed is up to rupees 20 lakhs can be filed in the district forum. All complaints where the value of goods and services is between 20 lakhs and 1 crore can be filed with the state commission. All complaints where the value of goods and services is more than 1 crore have to be filed with the national commission. How to file a complaint? Every complaint shall be filed in a prescribed manner and should be addressed to the president of the forum or the commission. The following information should be included in the complaint: the name of the complainant, the address and other details, the name of the opposite party or parties, the address and their details and description, the facts relating to the complaint, the documents which support the allegation against the producer or the seller, the remedy which the complainant is seeking, the relief that the complainant is seeking. The complainant or the authorized agent should sign the complaint. A minimum of 4 copies of the complaint are required to be filed. Now, let us consider the rights of consumers. Although businessman has a knowledge of the social responsibility, even then we come across of several cases of exploitation of the consumer. That is why the following rights are provided in the Consumer Protection Act. The first right is right to safety. The consumer has a right to safety against marketing of goods which are harmful for health and life. If the consumers are aware of their rights, then they can take necessary precautions to prevent injury. Right to be informed. The consumer must be informed about the quality, the quantity, the standards, the purity and the price of the product. That is why the manufacturers should provide information about the product in terms of all these aspects: the manufacturing date, the expiry date, the maximum retail price, other precautions to be taken and so on. on the label and on the package of the product. Such information is essential so that the consumer can take a right decision while choosing the product. The consumer has the right to choose, the right to provide the consumer with the freedom to choose a variety of products and which are available at competitive prices. This is one of the rights of the consumer. The seller should not put any pressure on the consumer to buy certain products and make it difficult for the consumer to have his own choice. And there should be freely competitive markets so that the consumer can go from one producer or one seller to the other to satisfy their own needs. The right to be heard. So, if a consumer is being exploited or has some grievance, then the consumer under the Consumer Protection Act has the right to file a complaint and has the right to be heard. Without this right, then how would the consumer get the relief? Okay? Therefore, a business firm should hear and consider the grievances. So, even before a consumer is forced to go to a court, each company, each firm is obliged to have a system by which they are able to listen and record the complaints of the consumers and try to take some steps for the redressal of the consumer grievances at their own level. Right to seek redressal. The consumer, if the consumer has been exploited, the consumer has a right to seek some kind of redressal. It could be, for instance, the replacement of the product. Sometimes the company could repair the product and give it, or if there is any other complaint. So, for all of these, the consumer has the right to seek a redressal. A number of remedies are available to the consumer, and it could also include refund of the money, removal of the defect, and so on. Sometimes it has been found that companies do voluntarily call back certain defective products if they have some difficulty or some problem in their functioning. The consumers may suffer a loss due to the fault of the manufacturer, and at such times the consumer is also entitled to some compensation. So, the government has established district forum, the state commission and the national commission for the redressal of consumer complaints. The consumer also has a right to know. That means the consumer has a right to consumer education. The consumer has a right to obtain knowledge, to be well informed about all products and services. The consumer also should be made aware of his own rights and remedies available, what are the options available, particularly if he suffers on account of some hazardous substance or goods, something which harms the health. Only a knowledgeable consumer will be able to take action against unfair trade practices. So, the government has taken various measures to make the consumer aware of their rights. For example, there are certain journals which are published by the Ministry of Consumer Affairs, and there are certain events which take place, such as the 15th of March is celebrated as the Consumer Day. 2 additional rights are also recommended by the United Nations. The right to basic needs. A consumer has a right to fulfill basic needs, which is an imperative for any dignified living. It includes food, clothing, sanitation, energy, education, healthcare and transportation. It is not possible for a consumer to live in a dignified manner without the fulfillment of these basic needs. Apart from this, United Nations has recommended the right to a healthy environment. A consumer cannot live in squalor. A consumer cannot live in unsanitary conditions. The consumer has to be protected against environmental pollution, degradation of the quality of life and environment, and so on. Therefore, this right stresses the need for providing a tension-free and healthy environment, that which could be maintained for future generations as well. What are the remedies available to the consumer? The remedies available to a dissatisfied consumer, as has been mentioned, is the district forum or the commission. And if this commission is satisfied about the genuineness of the complaint, then it would act. What are the complaints like? To remove the defects from the goods and services in question, to replace the defective goods, to return the price or charge a price for the goods and services which are in accordance with law, to pay compensation for the consumer if he has suffered any loss, to withdraw the goods from sales if it is a hazardous material which would affect the life and health, to eliminate restrictive trade practices or unfair trade practices, to issue corrective advertisements so that misleading advertisements can be neutralized, to stop manufacture of hazardous products and to refrain from offering such hazardous services. Redressal mechanism under the Consumer Protection Act 1986. Due to high cost of litigation, some consumers are not in a position to go for the regular courts. Thus, the Consumer Protection Act is designed to give quick and cheap relief to the consumers. Machinery for the settlement of consumer disputes. To settle the disputes of consumers and redress their grievances, there is a three-tier machinery provided by the Consumer Protection Act 1986. At the district, state and national levels, there are different fora. The principle of natural justice is to provide justice to the consumer who is the weakest link in the market. Consumer dispute redressal agencies have found that this is actually not happening. Therefore, this three-tier system has been set up. It provides inexpensive and speedy justice to consumer grievances, and there are minimal legal formalities. The consumer redressal agencies are quasi-judicial machineries, and as has been stated, you have three levels: the district level, the state level and the national level. The district forum is set up by the state government at the district level, and each district has got one district forum. These are the features of the district forum. For each district forum, it has a composition of a chairman and two members who are appointed by the state government. It has the same powers of a civil court for inquiring into any complaint. All complaints where the value of goods or services up to a value of rupees 20 lakhs can be filed in the district forum. A consumer whose goods or services are defective can file a consumer complaint individually or as a consumer association. When the complaint is received by the forum, it may send the product for testing and in a government approved laboratory, and then the case is decided on the basis of these results. If the district forum is satisfied that the goods are defective or there has been some malpractice, then it orders the opposite party either to remove the defect or replace the good or return the money that has been charged, or to compensate the consumer for the indirect loss or injury suffered by the consumer. The aggrieved party can file an appeal against the order of the district forum within 30 days of the passing of the order in the state commission. Now, the next level of redressal is the state commission. The state commission is established by the state government in each state, and the features of the state commission are as follows. 3 members are appointed by the state government, which constitutes the state commission. One is the president, and the president has to be of the rank of a judge of a high court, and apart from that there would be 2 other members. All complaints where the value of the goods or services and the compensation sought is between rupees 20 lakhs and 1 crore can be filed with the state commission. When the complaint is received, the commission contacts the opposite party concerned and sends the product for retesting if necessary, and within 30 days of the order, the aggrieved party can file an appeal against the state commission with the national commission. The national commission is the highest body for redressal. The central government sets up the national commission, and the features of the national commission are the following. To constitute a national commission, one president and 4 other members are required. The complainants where the value of goods and services and the compensation which is sought is more than 1 crore can be filed with the national commission. It has the same powers as that of a civil court, and it has the administrative control over all the state commissions in the country. The aggrieved party can file an appeal against the order of the National Commission with the Supreme Court within 30 days. Now, let us sum up all what we have studied so far. The consumers are exploited in a number of ways, such as adulteration, exorbitant prices, substandard products, underweight, deceptive selling, malpractices, false advertisement, misleading advertisements, hoarding, black marketing, and so on. Consumer protection means protecting the interest of the consumer against anti-consumer trade practices by the producers or traders. The need for consumer protection arises because of the important position of the consumer and the unfair trade practices of the seller. Certain rights are provided to the consumer to fight against such unfair trade practices. These are the right to safety, the right to be informed, the right to choose, the right to be heard, the right to seek redressal, and the right to consumer education. The Government of India has enacted the main act, which is called Consumer Protection Act 1986, to protect the rights and interests of the consumer. The Consumer Protection Act provides for the establishment of a 3-tier machinery at the district, state and national level. These are the district forum, the state commission and the national commission.